Let's do it.
We're live. Hello, friends. Happy Friday. You made it through another week. We are here. Oh, how's your week, Anna? What have you been up to?
It's been good. I do feel like my sales have been ticking up just a little bit, which is very promising.
Is it the time of year, you think, or are you doing stuff? I saw you were doing a coupon.
Yes.
What did you post? Yes, coupons.
I've been doing a coupon instead of a sale so far. I think I've only had it on for like 2 days or something, and no one has used it at all. So,
a public coupon.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I do it all. I have a sale on everything and then also a public coupon.
But how? I was told you can't do a sale and a coupon at the same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. The coupon never shows up.
I don't know. Let's look at my store. Okay, I have both of them on.
That's
I do both because, well, let me bring up my store to see.
Because normally I always just do sales.
I like doing a sale. My computer almost crashed before, so I'm actually not going to do anything because it's like,
okay, that's fine.
Can you still see me? I can't see you anymore.
Oh no, I'm here.
Okay, I'm getting like a spinny wheel. So if I get cut off, I was like frantically deleting all my YouTube videos that I store for like years. I can't see you. Oh. Hello? Are you still? Oh, it just like froze. Okay, I'm not doing anything. It's gonna
okay.
We might lose everyone, and I can't see comments. So if you want to say comments.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hang on. Yes.
It's always the worst time, right? Like right before you're on YouTube Live.
Yes.
So you can do a sale and a coupon.
Okay, I'm gonna look back into that because I could never like. I could see where it was very confusing to me because I could see where you can choose the priority or whatever of which promotion you're doing. But there was literally a growth advisor back in the day, early, like beginning of this year, who told me.
Well, maybe you couldn't have. Maybe you didn't used to be able to because coupons only came out. They updated the coupons in the spring update.
Okay, it was before that.
So it could be that.
Okay, great.
Because it'll show at the top of your store, but it doesn't always show on the listing, where a sale will show on the listing.
Yes. Well, I thought that was interesting because I actually was inspired to do my coupon because I went to your store and I was looking at it. I can't remember why I was like going to go see something about it. I was like, oh, I wonder how Sarah does this. And so I went to look, and all of the listings said, like 30% off with the coupon. On the listing, and on like your store page, and I was like, well, that's cool. I didn't know that coupons could do that. I'm gonna try.
So I can't show you on my thing, but I pulled up my store on my phone, and like all of my listings, because I have a coupon and a sale, has a sale, so it'll say like the sale price 8% off because I'm a big discounter over here on that one. But then under it says an extra 25% off. So they do the thing with coupons is they will stack on sales. So you can have an item on a sale and a coupon, then it will like double. But if someone sends you an offer, they cannot use the coupon.
Right. Okay,
so great. But you can stack all the things.
Maybe I'm just using outdated information about coupons because that's me living under my rock.
Yes, they did a huge overhaul and added like different ways and things to do with coupons. I have a video on it. I would link it somewhere, but I'm afraid my computer, like everything is blank.
You're like, go look it up. I mean, yeah, let's not crash your computer today.
No, so I'm going to I'm going to look on my phone. I can't put up coupons or I can't put up comments up here. Well, maybe. I can't see what I'm doing though. Okay. We did have a question. Can you see that?
What?
I put up a comment on the screen.
Yes, I can. Yes. What's your best?
I cannot see it. Do you want to read it?
Yeah. You said, what's your best piece of equipment purchases and worst?
Oh, yeah. So someone asked me this. They asked it in the live that I did on Wednesday after the live happened. And so I said I would ask it today. So do you want to talk your best and worst?
Oh my gosh. Best piece of equipment, like just completely general equipment.
Yeah, I think she was talking, we were chatting then on Instagram about it. And she was like, Rollo was her best.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I have a Dymo label printer that I love. So similar. I will say there's a couple of unorthodox ones. So actually, if you if you go watch my video from eBay Open about inventory management, I actually go through that, my favorite tools that I use for managing inventory, which is things like the bins that I use, the steel shelving that I use.
Do
Like
you
I
have an Amazon link, Anna?
no, I
You
don't.
need to open up an Amazon store and then you get, I mean, I make like 13 cents a month on it. So like,
So
don't
clearly it's
spend it all in one place.
okay. Well, what I should do is get a Target sponsorship, because I actually get all of my most of my stuff that I use from Target, and like because it like is the sturdiest and I love it, and it's like reasonably priced. I can always get it at any time. So that's
I
my
go
plan.
back and forth between Amazon and Target. I don't like
Yeah.
to those places, but half the time Amazon's out of the bins that I use, so I buy them at Target.
Yes, exactly. And I also, here's another, this, if you can call this equipment, I use these big squishable like laundry totes for like toting around my mail, and because I have to go to my storage unit to pull stuff, I collect it all in those to take it back to my house to ship. So that's really helpful.
And they're better. I just use IKEA bags. Are they better than that?
I feel like they are easier to carry when they're loaded down with stuff because they're not so wide. Like
Oh, and your stuff probably gets heavy, like some of yours.
yeah,
can.
yeah,
Mine is clothing.
it does. However, IKEA bags are also the jam. And really quick, I'll turn this around and show you. I have this a tiny refrigerator. This is my shipping station. So this is this little red guy.
Is it an actual refrigerator?
Yes, it has like, it holds like 6 cans or something, and or like 4 bottles of water. And then this is like a huge speaker, and I actually love those two things very much because they keep me hydrated and entertained while I'm shipping, and like that is everything to me. So
Because you're shipping a gazillion things and you're out there for hours, right?
hopefully, yes, especially on Mondays. Yeah. Yeah, before the last couple months of things being really slow, I would regularly be shipping like between 50 and 90 things on a Monday. Like it just
Oh, see, that sounds awful.
it was
I'm
crazy. I mean, that'd be like my whole day would be shipping that.
right.
But
I know when so this time last year, we talked about this last week, right?
yeah.
Comparing year over year. And I just did my how much money I made video. So I'm late, but I know it's September.
I need to go watch like your entire catalog of videos.
Oh, that would take you forever. We just start, and some of it's like old news, but every month I look at my profit and loss statement and show you like all the way down to my net and how much I save for taxes. And I just did it for September. I was going to say August. I just closed out September.
Yes.
And my gross was half. I did 12,000 gross last year in September, and I did like 65 this year. My net though, and I mean, spoiler alert for those who are watching, I go into it in my video. My net is not that bad. So that's half.
Yeah.
And my net is probably like 10% down.
Wow.
Because I've changed my model. I used to do liquidation. So
right.
Really high, and I've moved, seeing this trend happening. I was like, what can I do to like lower my
your overhead costs?
Yeah. So that's it. So that video is coming out next week, I think. For those of you, subscribe and hit that. I think we do have questions. You might have to keep. I'm looking at the chat on here. I don't think. Let me see. Is this the question? How about a markdown sale coupon combo in your store? Is that showing on the screen?
Yeah. I don't know if it's showing on the screen. Yes, it is showing on the screen. I don't see it on YouTube yet. YouTube looks frozen on my end for some reason.
Oh, I can see on here, and I can see like people's icons, but I can't see the words. My computer is gonna crash. Let's hope it lasts for an hour.
For another, I was gonna say for another like 30 minutes.
Yeah. So we were talking about you can do a sale and a coupon. Do you think you'll go back? So you haven't, your sales are increasing. You added a coupon, but you've gotten no one use the coupon. So it's not the coupon that's doing it.
No, but also that was only a couple days ago, and I usually do have things on some amount of sale like all the time. And I do have
promoted listings, right? You increased you're working on increasing your promoted listing percentages.
Yes. Yeah. Somewhat, just a little bit by like a point. Basically, I'm bumping up what I'm willing to pay over the suggested ad rate by 1 point. Right now I'm in about in the middle of like a 3-week period where I'm testing the current level, which I think I'm willing to pay up to 2% above what the suggested ad rate is for the category. So,
and yours is all over the place.
They're all different, right? But it was really cool because my ads like growth advisor was able to show me like, okay, let's open up, let's take like a sampling of your items basically and see like what is the range of suggested ad rates across all these different categories. If we set a cap on that, like which items, if there's only a handful of them that are like really high suggested ad rates, like then we don't really care about that handful of items as much as we care about this being effective for the whole store. So it was cool to see how to think about that, I guess, like as a
Is
strategy.
it something that they pulled for you, or that's something on eBay that you can look at?
I think it's something on eBay you can look at, but I'm honestly not sure. I can't remember like which tab we were under to look at it.
Yeah, and I can't. Everything's frozen right now. I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna like talk too loud because it might break down.
I know. You're like, I'm gonna speak softly to you. It's fine.
I know. Oh, I don't know. I wait until like the very last point. Like I save I think I have YouTube videos on I save them because I need them from 2 years ago.
Yeah, put them on an external.
Well, right. But then I wait until my computer crashes to do that. And then it's always like, we can't do anything right before I'm going live, or that happened right before eBay open. And I was like, well, I should. And so then it's on my since eBay open, right? Like, ago, it's been on my to-do list.
It's been a quick minute, which speaking of that, by the way, in our super fun times in California, the new eBay podcast, the Seller Spotlight podcast with Georgia came out. And I didn't listen to Chase's yet, but I did get the chance to listen to Ken's today, and it was so good. I was
Chase and Ken are on it.
Yes, I think they're like the first 2 episodes. And they're quick. They're like, I think Ken's episode is like 11 or 12 minutes. Like they're supposed to be like 15 minutes, which is, people's commute, a lot of people's commute.
Wow.
So it's
good.
So
are they going to take, because there's an eBay for Business podcast.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they do seller spotlights on there. Are they not doing any more seller spotlights, and it'll be more like?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, they do definitely have different kinds of episodes and different kinds of content on the eBay for Business. I think the spotlight is going to be just more focused. And so I don't know that they will totally not do them at all, or they might even like, I don't know if they would do this, but possibly cross post. Like we're going to feature one of our Seller Spotlight episodes, and Georgia is the interviewer because she's the host of the podcast. But I'm really not sure how much they're planning to cross-pollinate like that. But
I bet they have content that they could do with that, which is probably why they did this podcast, right? Like,
why they would like split it off. Because some people are like, I just want to know like the corporate update stuff. I don't care about hearing about people's stories. And some people are like, blah, blah, blah. This is boring. I need to know that I'm part of a community. I want to hear about these other people.
If you guys have no idea what we're talking about, let me rein it back in. eBay for Business podcast, it is for me personally, it's one of the best resources because I can listen to it while I'm doing something else. And the information that they give is always very timely. They always talk about the seller updates when they come out, anything that's changed. And for those who don't have, like after when eBay opened, I now have emails for people at eBay that I can be like, hey, I can like, but I didn't have that before. And you can send emails to the eBay for Business podcast and they answer them quickly within like weeks. Sometimes they take like a month or 2 off of the podcast and they like record ahead. But I asked a question a couple weeks ago and they answered it 2 episodes later.
That's awesome.
And so if you're people out there that are watching and you're like, I have questions for eBay, I don't know how to ask. And Griff and is it Brian?
Brian,
I was like, I could see him.
Yeah.
They will do, Griff's the oldest employee, right? Like he knows everybody or one of the oldest
I think he was number like 8 or something.
So I think he's the oldest employee that still works there.
Probably maybe. So, yeah.
Okay, I can't see any of these comments, friends. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to look. I'm not going to be able to put it on the screen because it's just all blank to me, but I am looking on my phone. So the overflowing cart says, I did a 10% off sale on eBay and 500 items for a week just to see what I get. Keep us updated. I always like seeing people's strategies. So definitely. Yeah. Best equipment is that darn Rollo printer.
we have a couple Rollo shout outs and a fellow Dymo lover. Woo!
Yes. So what's funny is that we talked about our printers on my Wednesday live. And everyone had Dymos and I was the only one with a Rollo.
Oh, really? I think the Rollos are like, they seem a little more like modern and cool. But my Dymo I bought like on eBay for an absolute steal. And I just love it so much. I just can't believe how fast it prints. It still blows my mind every day.
I think the Dymo came out sooner.
First,
Like it's been
yeah,
around for longer. But when I was looking at buying one, I only got one maybe 2 years ago,
yeah,
and it seemed like there was more like issues, and it could have been like past issues that but like it gets jammed up, and I didn't
yeah.
read any of that with the Rollo. I did, however, they sent me the wireless Rollo for like a beta test,
Ooh.
which I was super excited, and I still have it in my basement. I am not a fan.
Ooh.
I don't hate it. And if that is your only option, it works. For me, the struggle is it's connected to your wireless. So if your wireless goes out, then you have to like go through and redo everything.
Oh yeah.
And mine's in the basement. So sometimes it gets like it just never works right. And my other Rollo is I have my old computer in my basement. So it's only my shipping and it's hardwired in and it just works so much quicker.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about giving my wireless Rollo away, like doing a giveaway with it. Cause I've used it like twice
Right.
when I was doing beta testing, and it still
Fine.
works fine if someone
Not
wants
my
it.
jam.
Yeah, I don't really necessarily need it. All right, let's see. How do you do that for a week? Tape measure. Oh, tape measure.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Right here.
Retractable. There you go.
One.
You probably have like more, right? So if you guys are new and you don't know Anna, she sells everything. I do fashion. So I just have a yardstick.
Yes.
I don't usually need to go much further than
Do
that.
you ever use like a dress tape for like littler stuff?
I don't do
Or-
littler stuff. I do have a dress tape for when it gets really long because this
Yeah,
one is
yeah,
up to 35 inches. So if it's like a maxi dress, but
yeah,
we were talking about this on my Monday live or my Wednesday live. It's 15 seconds time savings, but like unrolling it and unwrapping it, like
yeah.
a yardstick lays completely
You're just
flat.
like, whoosh. Yeah,
Well, and I can do it most like on a shirt. I will do the armpit to armpit and then the length as well. And it's one
yeah.
less photo.
I love that.
Okay, here we have a question. I might be able to tell me if this is it. Based off of the question is, Sarah, do you use suggested ad rate or a certain percentage across all listings? Is that the question that's showing on the screen?
Yes, and that is the most recent question that I can see.
Okay, and I don't think, and just quick thing too, friends, if you guys are asking questions, one, I can't see them, so my apologies. But do put like a question like in, or like a bunch of question marks, something that's going to catch my eye so I can see
Yeah,
it, so I can make sure not to skip over it. Question, suggested ad rate or a certain percentage across all listings. So I recently did a promoted listing video. I think it came out last week. I used to only do 2%. And I was doing really high sales to give the money to the buyer, right? Like I would make the same net, but I was like, I'd rather give 10% off to the buyer than 10% to eBay. And I did a scenario like 2 years ago, and that seemed to provide more sales for me. Well, it's been 2 years. So you should try things out in 2 years and
sometimes
retest.
you gotta try things again.
Right, things change. And so I recently went from 2% and went to trending on, so you can make a campaign. I didn't want to do it on everything because it can kind of be scary if it all sells, right? So I made a campaign, and I do this all in my video of how to do it and then my results. But I went to trending, and I think I added like plus 15%, like just huge to kind of see like what would happen.
Yeah,
And it worked. It definitely increased. So I think what's happening, at least for me, is 2 years ago, promoted listings were newish.
yeah.
And so not many people were using them.
And the floor was probably 1% then, right? They
Right.
raised the floor to 2.
Right. I think we talked about this last week, right? Like at some point it's going to have to like cap out because
Yeah,
we're all going to keep increasing it to get better than the next person.
right.
So right now I am messing around with, instead of like old inventory, I would do like a 50% off sale. And now I'm doing like a 30% off sale, and I'm going to promote it at like 20% or something ridiculously high to where
Yeah,
my net's going to be the same, but hoping to get more eyes on it.
yeah.
And talking with my growth advisor, he's like, your click-through rates are better than average.
Average.
Your
Yeah,
listing, like everything is better than average. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I just need to get it in front of more people.
yeah,
And so I'm doing promoted listings. So I'm playing with it. Make sure to follow and subscribe because I will do videos. Right now, I am promoting everything at trending. And then the older it is, the more like up or down I'm willing to do to a cap. I think I have my cap at like 25% for really old stuff,
yeah.
which is kind of scary, but Poshmark's at 20
Right.
and I pay that. Although my fees, I looked at my fees this last month, and I was at eBay used to be like 13% fees. They're up to 18%. So promoted listings is working, right? But you have, I don't know, you have to pay for it. And so we're going to have to find that fine line of.
Yeah. I feel like with a lot of things, or I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's true. I'll stand by that statement. With a lot of different aspects of running my store, I found that I have to like Goldilocks try things where it's like I'll try it and no, that's too little. And I have to try it until I reach no, that's too much. And then I truly know like
Yeah.
there's no way to really find the happy medium, which can be a moving target because things change and the times change and the economy changes and the market changes. And so that's why I'm such a big fan of like trying stuff. But like I find that I have to almost like, smack into both sides of the bumpers to truly figure out what the happy medium actually is.
Well, see, and you start on the low end, and I'm like, man, let's start at 25%.
Yeah,
And
then we can bring it on down from there. Yeah, which honestly, like, in a way, like we are creeping, up higher and higher. But I am very interested to do something similar to that. Like, but again, like for me, seasonality wise, like during Q4, it's going to be hard to kind of tease out. I normally do like almost a third of my revenue for the year in Q4. And so like if I'm wildly promoting or discounting things during that quarter, like what if I'm just totally giving away profit that I still would have made those sales anyway? People would have been willing to pay more for them or whatever. So it's kind of it's funny because I feel like also as sellers we get like grumpy sometimes with eBay and we're like, why are you guys changing everything right before Q4? Like, why are you giving us a new tool or like a new interface or whatever? But then also like it just so happens that right now in my life I'm like, okay, I have 12,500 items. I would kind of like to semi-liquidate some of this because I might be like moving sometime in the near future and I don't want to move all that stuff, but I also don't want to like shoot myself in the foot during Q4. So I'm like,
yeah, but because I've had this internal conversation too, which is why I like this call.
yes, let's externalize it.
Internal. Yeah. I could talk to someone else about it besides my husband. Who's like, cool, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm spewing information at you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had this conversation too, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, it maybe could have sold in 3 months, but if it sells now and I had to pay 10% to sell it now, and then let's say I made $30 on it, that's 6 more items that I could have that are also going to sell. That like,
yes,
I don't want eBay permanent listings to get to where I'm paying 50%. I appreciated that my fees were like 13%, but I'm also willing to pay up to 20% on Poshmark. And so I'm kind of messing with it to see. I would rather put things, and for me too, some of it honestly is ego. Like if I have a sales day where I only have 2 items, I'm like, well, obviously I have to quit because I'm the worst reseller ever. And I'm like spewing information on YouTube that I don't know what I'm talking about. Where if I have,
raise your hand if you've had that day this week.
it was yesterday. Yesterday I was like, what is happening? But then Tuesday I had like a wild, right? It's a roller coaster, and that's why we look at averages. But some of it too is
God for averages.
Oh, right. I'm like, I'd rather pay 5% just to have a couple more sales and continue on with my life.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if I have a question regarding hiring a virtual assistant. It says, please help. Okay. Ask the question, but it doesn't say the question. So feel free to ask the question. I do have a processing playlist that has a whole video on my virtual assistant process as well as tips, but feel free to ask the question. Is there another one?
Yeah, there's a few other questions. So Taylor, yes, there you go, says
I can see the icon. I can't see the question then.
Okay, so that was Taylor. Yeah, I'm brand new to selling on eBay. Do you recommend accepting lower offers to start in order to gain initial feedback since I'm starting out with 0?
I'm gonna let you go and then I'll
I recommend accepting a lower offer all the time if it's like an offer that you're willing to take, because like I know for both of us, me and Sarah, I'm speaking for you now, but you can definitely chime in. But like we, are both really conscious of like our overhead and how much we've paid for items, but also it's like a balance between what you have in it, right? And also the time that you've put in to like list it and everything, and also the fair market value. Like you don't want to just be giving stuff away. like,
But that changes over time, and I think you hear so many times people like, "Oh, it's a lowball offer," and I'm like, because so I had an offer this morning, and it was listed at 55, and they offered like 25, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of to me like over
yes,
under
like
50%."
under 50%. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, but before I was like, "Oh, this is a low offer. I'm going to counter." I went and looked at the comps, and the comps were 25 to $32. And I was like,
No,
"Okay, it's the low end of the comp, but like, am I
right,
really going to hold out for $7 more in hopes that someone else?"
right. And
And then
that
I was
also,
like, well, I looked too, and there was like 15 other pairs listed.
I
And
was
I was
gonna
like,
say,
so they're going to get it from someone else.
yeah. So what did you accept it or did you counter?
No, I
You
accepted
accepted it? Because I feel like in that situation, for me, I'm like, okay, well, what have my sales been like today? Could I use a $25
it.
bump on my sales today? Yes, I certainly could. I'll take it. Or I'll be like, okay, well, maybe my knee jerk reaction would have been, well, I'm going to counter 50 because I have it listed for 55. And I kind of want you to know that that's ridiculous that you offered me less than half of what I'm asking. My favorite is when people message you, how much do you want for this item? I'm like, the list price is a pretty good indication of what I want for this
I
item.
actually told my husband that today. I had one of those, "What's the lowest you will offer?"
Yes,
And my initial reaction is, "What's the highest you'll pay?"
100%.
But at the end of the day, I wanna make the sale. And so I
Right.
legitimately was like, "What is the lowest that I will offer?" Because they're
Yeah.
maybe willing to pay it, and I said the lowest that I would offer plus $5 because I was like, "I really probably won't." But, like, I'm gonna right? But it was still, like, $20 less.
$5 for my dignity. Thank you.
Yes, right. Well, because negotiation too, because if I said
100%.
40 and then they were like, "Well, how about a
Yeah.
couple bucks less?" I would have been like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah.
But so I told them 40, it was listed at like 60, and I told them the lowest I would take was 40, and they bought it.
Yeah.
Where if I
Well,
would have been like, "What's the highest you'll take?" They
they
probably
may
wouldn't
not have,
have
they
moved.
would have just, yeah, moved along, right? And
And
so,
had they sent an offer for $40, I would have just accepted it.
right. And so I think that's really good to like be able to kind of be an observer of yourself and go like, okay, I have a knee jerk reaction to this, but also what would I actually take if someone blindly sent me an offer right now? What would I accept? Because
Right.
that's being honest, but it's exactly what you're saying. It drives your negotiation strategy, So it's like, okay, yeah, you went and rechecked the comp. So if you decided instead of just accepting it, if you were like, well, I'm gonna counter offer, maybe you would counter offered like 30 instead of 50,
Yeah, yeah.
and like
But then,
that might
like,
have
look,
been,
this is the thing too with counter offering. I always think about, if I counter and they don't accept it, how am I going to feel? And 99% of the time, I will be disappointed that I didn't make the sale. And that's
mm,
when I usually don't counter, where every once in a while, I'll have an item that I'm like, "I have sold this before." Like, I know this will
yes.
get this. Most of the time, not. I am gonna answer the question because we've kind of been talking around it too.
Yeah,
Bring
totally.
your feedback up. I agree with Anna, like, absolutely all the time. Like, I
Yeah.
accept most offers all the time. When you're starting out, yes. When I started out on eBay, after about 8 months and not getting the volume, I went in and did like a 50% off sale on everything. My average sale price decreased. It was like half of what it was on Poshmark, but after a month and getting that volume, and you want, so some of it's the feedback, but you also, to be top rated. I just did a video like 2 weeks ago
Yeah,
on what eBay is looking for.
there's volume.
It's top, well, and anything that they have as your top rated, that's what they want you to do. And one of the items is selling 100 items. The faster you can get to that, the more exposure you're getting,
Yes.
and the more and top rated. And so I would honestly do each and everything that you can do to get,
Yeah,
especially if you're in a highly saturated,
that's great.
because you're selling against people who have been on for 20 years, right? Like,
Yeah, like run like have a profitable business, but accept those offers.
yes. Well, and two, when I took it, when I did like this, trying to get the volume on eBay and get it going,
Yeah,
I did it in like a marketing standpoint. If I was a new business,
yeah,
I would be spending money on, I keep saying newspaper ads, but that's not like a thing. But I would be spending money on
but
marketing.
yeah, right.
Right. Like, you would be spending money on getting your name out there. And we don't necessarily have to do that in the e-commerce world. So I was like, I'll take a hit for a month to have long term. And after that month, my eBay sales are, 3, 4 times of what they are Poshmark. And so it was absolutely worth
You're
it.
like, that was totally worth it. Yeah, I think it's interesting too. Side note, sorry, this is a
Yeah.
good question from Daniella though. I want to
Yeah.
hear your answer to it.
Okay.
But I think it's
I just put it
interesting
on.
that you're going and kind of like turning apples and oranges into apples with like your promoted listings and Poshmark, like the cut that you're willing to give up from each. I think that's super interesting. So, can you see this question or shall I read it?
No, I can. I'm
Okay.
relatively new seller. Is it that one?
Yes.
And this, I can't share you my screen because I could show you the exact numbers.
Yeah.
If my goal is to replace my current income of $60K, how can I do this from selling $15 items? Is this possible? Yes, it's absolutely possible. Question is one, is it 60 gross? Because this is the struggle too, is you have to like, if you are living off of 60K, you probably really need closer to 120-ish
Yeah.
gross, because you have fees, you have cost of goods, you have like you're a small business, you have taxes, you have, right?
Yeah.
So I can't show you. If you send me a DM, Daniella, normally I would show you my screen, and I have a golden formula for reseller spreadsheet. It's linked down below, and you can type in numbers and
Yes.
it'll tell you exactly what you have to do.
Oh my gosh, I want to look at that. That's amazing.
Oh,
Also,
I'll send it to you.
also
Yes.
join us the next time, and maybe your computer won't be about to crash.
I do. I show the formulation or the spreadsheet on probably like
all the time.
half of my videos. Yeah. But and I have it up. I have the tab up, but if I go to it, I'm terrified I'm gonna like get
No,
cut off.
do not.
So
Danielle,
well, let's do the quick math. So if you're selling, let's do it. It depends on what you're selling and what your sell-through rate is. Let's assume you're doing like 10%, 5% sell-through rate. $15 items likely would have a higher sell-through rate. So we'll say $120,000 gross. We will divide that by, hold on, let me think of the math. Anna, you talk real quick while I do the math. Is there another question? I'll figure, normally I have a spreadsheet to do it, but let me do the math.
Okay, so let's see. I'm just looking here.
I can put another question up if there's another. Or if there was something we had talking
I'm gonna answer a shipping question really quick.
Oh, yes, that's good. Which one is it?
Perfectly blessed.
Is it this one?
Yes, that one.
Okay.
So, they ask, if you charge for shipping and do calculated, do you pass on the eBay savings to your customer? Okay, so I will answer this because I ship all kinds of different things. I use all kinds of different shipping services, and for me, it really depends. So I do not pass on the savings. Well, first of all, if I'm going to use like USPS and it's like a pair of jeans or something that's going to be between 1 and 2 pounds, and it fits in one of these lovely flat rate envelopes that I use the crap out of, then yes, I might just put those. I might have a shipping policy, like a business policy for shipping that says, it's a flat rate and it's this. And then I'm able to pass the savings on that way. However, I don't go in and give like refunds a lot for like shipping overage, because I'm also having to provide the shipping materials and the time, and I don't charge a handling fee at all for things.
And the fee, sorry, I zoned you out for a second, but we get a fee on shipping too, right? Did you mention that?
Yes.
We have
or I hadn't, but yes.
Oh.
Thank you for adding that. But I will say that there are times when, for example, for whatever reason, the buyer might like select a shipping service, and when I go in to actually ship the item, it's all packed up. Maybe it's fragile, maybe it's double boxed in a case and packing peanuts twice, like maybe it's a whole big deal, right? And if that's the case, and I realize like, oh, well, they selected priority mail or parcel, and it will get there faster with better insurance and for $20 cheaper with UPS, then I will choose UPS instead of what they selected, and I will refund them the difference if it's like a significant difference.
Will you do that without asking them?
Yeah. If it's a lot, if it's like a big difference. If it's not, and it's like, oh, it's like, $3 or $4, I'm like, well, that pays for my packing peanuts. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not like a free USPS shipping supply, and there's only so much free eBay branded stuff that I have, I try to reuse and recycle as much as I can with shipping. But there are definitely expenses when you ship a bunch of different stuff like I do. And so most of the time I'm like, they were willing to pay that, they already paid it, so unless it's just like egregious and I'm like, oh, this poor person, like they're just throwing an extra $20 at me for nothing, like then I will give that back.
They don't know. Yeah. I wonder, so I only ship USPS.
Yes.
Or USPS, and it's first class or like priority flat rate. So very rarely do I have that situation where they select. I have a couple different options.
Even then, you get a discount on the labels though. So they're asking, do you pass that discount on to your buyer?
Yeah. No, but my thing was, if like selecting like this last week I accidentally put it was a first class item and I accidentally put priority mail as the option to select.
Oh,
And I knew that I could ship it quicker first class, but I didn't want to select that because I told them priority,
yeah.
right? And that was what I was saying. Like, and I don't know enough about shipping
Oh, yeah.
FedEx. Like, it's all savings. It
Yes.
wouldn't matter to the buyer.
Well, I want to say one thing to that because I have that sometimes on some of my listings. I mean, now literally over 10,000 of my 12,500 items are free shipping. So it kind of doesn't matter most of the time, but sometimes it still does.
Mm.
Whenever I have something that I thought was going to have to go priority and it turns out that I can actually ship it under £1, it's not super valuable, it's not super breakable, so I should just send it first class, but they've paid for priority. If I'm shipping it like a day earlier than they think I am, it's still going to get there when they expect it and I can save a couple bucks. I do. However, if somebody, I don't have the price or the weight or anything on the label, you can like opt that out of what's on the label so they don't get it and go, oh my gosh, this was only $4 and I paid $9, you know?
Oh, on the eBay back end, you can take it off?
Yeah, on the shipping label page. If you not in bulk, I don't think you can do it in bulk. I think you can. I don't know. I haven't used bulk hardly at all. So maybe you can. So I take that back. But you definitely can when you do it individually. But at the same time, I've had that happen before where like I'm just in the zone shipping stuff and I genuinely like didn't realize they had selected the other one and I didn't even weigh it. I just shipped it first class and then they notice and they're like, I paid for priority shipping.
See, that's what I'm scared of.
But I'm like, but it got there on time and it's not broken, so we don't need the insurance. But if someone calls me out on that and I accidentally totally overlooked it, I will refund them the difference after that. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry we overlooked that. Like, here's your difference
Yeah,
back.
you still got your item.
Yeah, but 9 times out of 10, people just don't even care. They don't even look. And so there's probably been many times that has happened. And I mean, not so much anymore because I'm more organized than I used to be. But I'm sure it happens occasionally. And most of the time, it's just a non-issue. So, I mean, I don't want to be like honest with anyone, but there's a lot of costs involved with shipping, like the supplies and everything. So I don't feel too bad about like keeping a couple extra bucks every once in a while.
And I agree. And your time and your like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think if it's like, $50 difference, where with me, that would never happen. Like, I don't, nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, I figured out the math. So we'll go back to the sorry, friends. I do have a spreadsheet, golden formula for resellers. It is linked down below, and you can type in all kinds of different numbers, and it'll tell you all of these things for you. But let's say that you want to make 60K net. So we're just going to bump that up to 50% for the sake of ease and go for 120,000 gross. So if you divide that by $15 items, that's 8,000 items a year that you have to sell each month. That's 666 items you would have to sell at a 10% sell through. So this is what it's going to depend on what you sell, but $15 items, depending, probably are going to have a pretty good sell through rate. Typically lower price items sell faster. We'll put a 10% sell through rate. That means you'd have to have 6,666 items available.
Yeah.
Be able to make that happen. Now, this is math. And so you can change, you bump your sell through rate up to 15%. You're going to have less items. You increase your average sale price. This is all of what my channel is about.
Yeah.
If you want to, I have other videos coming out, and maybe next week I can show it because my computer is going to crash.
Daniella, you are in the right place though to be asking these exact kind of questions.
That is. Oh, that's my kids are off today, so I don't have to jet like I normally do. Okay, do we have other questions? If you charge, I think I saw, did someone do a super chat that I saw? Thank you. Yes, there is. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I don't have fun little graphics for super chats, but
I was like, I don't know what a super chat is, but it sounds great.
Oh, it's like a paid. Okay, so now.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I can see them. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Someone, Julie, is this Julie? The question, do you start the same price across Posh and eBay? Is that the right question coming across?
Great question. Yeah, that's the right one.
You're only on eBay, so I'll answer this.
Yeah. Answer for this.
Well, so I have virtual assistants. They price it, they comp it on eBay. I know my stuff pretty well enough that sometimes I go in and change it, but for the most part, I'm like, it's not like I could probably sell it for $5 more, list it $5, but it's not worth my time figuring out like down to the couple dollars. And then I have she cross lists it over to Poshmark. And so what I currently have her doing is you set the listing or the original price at $9.99 And then it gives you like, you can click on it and it'll take you to the comps on Poshmark. I have a reel on my Instagram so you guys can visually follow what this is. But it'll take you to the comps. And what I have her doing is if the comps on Poshmark are higher than what I have it listed on eBay, then increase it to whatever the comps would be. If the comps are selling lower on Poshmark than they are on eBay, to leave it alone. So that it is the same. So it's either listed the same as eBay or higher. Depending on what it is, it will go higher. There are certain times that she's like, okay, this is comping on Poshmark like $20 less. And like if it's a significant amount, then she lets me know and I look at it. And sometimes it just really is much lower on Poshmark, or sometimes I have it completely wrong on eBay.
And you're just like,
And I should lower it on eBay as well.
Yeah.
But this is part of what happens when you have a virtual assistant too, right? Like it's just in general, we do things, and sometimes these onesie twosies slide by.
Yeah.
We had things to talk about. We were having lots of questions.
I know. Well, I actually just popped over to our little running list here because that reminded me of one of the things we have on there about cross listing. And that's something that I have never tried. And I'm like, I have no idea if it's like worth the effort or not for me, because I'm not in one category and I couldn't cross list like my whole store, you know?
I mean, you could.
Could I?
Yeah, you could. If I were in your situation, especially because you're trying to get rid of stuff before you move, and they're items that you already have.
They sure do.
Poshmark has opened up to everything. Macari in talking, and people in the chat could tell. Obviously, I'm only fashion, so Poshmark is a great place for that. They have opened it up to everything else, though, and I've heard that Macari is pretty good about some of those. So I have List Perfectly, and then there's Vendu. If you guys want List Perfectly, 30% off, and link down below to try it. And I think you can try it for 2 weeks free. If I were in your position, I would probably find like a virtual assistant, because it's easy. You already have it all filled out. All they have to do is hit a couple of buttons and it's listed. I would probably pay a virtual assistant to cross list everything, and you can increase your sell-through rate and try and liquidate some of that stuff just by doing it. Because if you could find someone to do it, it would probably take you weeks to do it all. And all of the other things that you do, but paying someone else $5-10 an hour, like.
Yeah, true.
I would try it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to write that down and I may try it.
Add it on. Keep us posted. Or try it with like, I mean, I don't know the things that you sell, but maybe just certain like.
Well, for example, I could start with just my clothing and shoes and accessories. I mean, I have a bunch of that stuff. I also have everything else.
Right. Well, I would probably start with a category. I think, do you do plushies and stuff? I think I've heard those do well on Macari.
I have stuffed animals, but it's nothing like super special. Although, I will say I love selling stuffed animals. I think because I was obsessed with stuffed animals when I was a kid. And I mean, I still love them, but you know, I just like loved stuffed animals so much. But I had one of the most like touching things sales I ever made on eBay, which is really sad. So like brace yourself to be a little bit sad. But I had this like super random, I don't think I've told this story on here, or maybe not to you at all actually, but I had this super random like small, it wasn't like a Happy Meal toy, but it was like some small little like, you know, I don't know, little stuffed animal, like a Webkin stuffed animal or something. I can't remember what it was. And it was, I think someone bought it. They bought it outright, you know, for like, I don't know, $10 or $12. Like it's one of those things I got free and like a huge bundle of stuff. And I was like, why not? Like, I can sell that. I can list this in 2 seconds. Like, why not? But this person bought it. And then they messaged me after they bought it. And they just said, like, thank you so much for selling this item and having this available. My daughter's best friend, like her and her 8-year-old best friend, her best friend just died, and she gave hers to like put it in her casket at the funeral. And so I got this one so they could each have one.
Okay, like I got chills.
I know. So did I. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like the most, that is so humbling and like so incredible. Like I just thought, whatever, I'll just throw this $10 like little piece of crap like on the internet.
Yeah. And then
it's like, it means so much to someone like that. Like that was just like, it really floored me. But speaking of stuffed animals, it's just amazing. I love when when buyers like have something like
Totally.
impactful like that to share, and they like go out of their way to tell you, because
I
like
feel like you probably get that more than I do, because mine is usually like, hey, I really wanted this last year and it sold out at this store. So I'm glad that I could get
thank
it.
you. Yes, no one had my size. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't really have, I mean, I don't think I've ever had like a sentimental, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever had
it's
like a
really
sentimental.
crazy when that kind of stuff happens. Like occasionally it does, and it just like it adds this really rich layer of meaning, and it's so cool because yeah, that I mean, there was nothing like special to me about that little stuffed animal, but that
Yeah.
person's probably going to keep it the rest of their life, and it's going to mean so much to them, and that's just like so neat to me. I love
I
that.
know a lot of parents, like if their kids had like a stuffy that they can't sleep without, or like their favorite, and they
Get a
lose it,
backup.
and
Yeah.
they go to eat, and they like don't make it. I know a lot of like toy or stuffy sellers have
Yes.
stories. I'm the mean mom that I'm like, well, guess you shouldn't have left it there. So
Turns
sorry.
out there's consequences. Yeah. No, it's so true. I've had a few of those who are parents are like, thank you so much. Oh my God, my child is losing their mind.
I did. My daughter left something. She was probably like 4. So she could talk, but not like super like articulate. And she left something at somewhere. I was like, I'm not driving back if it's not there. So I made her call, my little 4-year-old. I made her call, and the people actually, we were on speaker, so I was there to help and stuff. But I was like, I'm not driving back if it's not there. I will take you back if you left it there, but you need to call and ask him and have them save it. And you could see that, you could hear the people on the other side, like this little 4-year-old was like,
oh
do you have my favorite stuffed animal? It was really cute.
Did they have it?
They did. Yeah. So we
Oh,
do.
good. I was like, I must know.
Oh yes, yes. No, they had it, and we drove back. And it was somewhere that we normally go. It was more about like the lesson to learn, like
Yes.
it.
Lovely.
Questions. Did we have other things that we wanted to chat about, or are you okay putting? Are you getting a virtual assistant? I see that you have the MUA attempt.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. So kind
So
of. It's
MUA is multi-user access.
account access. Yeah.
Account access.
It's or is it multi-user? Yeah, I think it's account access. But anyway,
it's for like virtual assistants. You can give other people access to your account, like limited access.
Yes. So it's sort of virtual assistant. It's my sister-in-law who already is my in real life assistant. But basically, I was clicking through something on eBay, and it prompted me to turn on 2-factor authentication for my whole account. And I turned it on. Huh?
I thought we had to do that like a year ago.
Right. So I never had to for some reason, but it like I like stumbled into that or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I realized, like, you know, thus far, I mean, I trust her with my life, so she can log in as me. Like, I don't care. But anyway, she would have to. I mean, eBay was going to text me a code every time she was logging in on the app to do drafts, and I was like, no. I'm gonna set up this multi-user thing, except they don't have it in the app yet. It's only on desktop. And she does like virtually all of her stuff through the app.
On the app. Oh, see, mine must do it on the computer.
Yeah. So, fun fact.
But they don't, for the identification, after they know your computer a couple times, they don't send it to you.
Oh, really? Well, that's good to know. But it was always going to be through the app. Like, she pretty much only uses the app. So,
yeah.
So, what I ended up finding out was that they don't have it in the app yet, but they're working on it, you know, supposedly, hopefully. Not like with any kind of deadline, but
yes.
But I was able to go in and turn off 2-factor, so now we're just back to the way it was. But I think that that's really helpful to know, because I didn't know that it wasn't in the app. And like, if I am going to use another assistant to do certain tasks, like, I need to know if you know.
Yeah, they have to have a computer.
Yeah,
I
like,
never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, which that could definitely come into play for me also if I'm going to be like cross posting or just auditing my listings, which I've really never done, and I've started doing myself, but like you said earlier, it would take me like weeks and months to like get through all of it myself. So
yeah, and it's something that would be helpful. I love my virtual assistants. I would like die without them. I think the next question, tell me if this is correct. Do you reassign the same SKU number of a returned item or reassign it to a new number? Is that the question that's showing?
Yes.
Okay. I'll let you go, and then I hate returns, friends. I have like so many returns. This is my returns. My niece keeps telling me she's gonna come work for me, and I'm like, can you put my, and then she's 12 and is like, soccer came up and
you're like,
yeah, that's a title.
I also hate returns. So I'll just show you what I do for returns. So my items individually don't have SKU numbers. They just have bin numbers. But, you know, same thing, same purpose served as far as this question is concerned. So when I get them back, I do the equivalent of assigning a new SKU. Because what I do is as they come in slowly, which they're almost always clothing, by the way. But
Oh yeah, because of fit and measurements and
right. But I have this lovely cardboard box that says returns, and I just gather up until this box is full, and this is approximately the size of a bin. And so when it's full, I take everything out and I find it in my spreadsheet and I change the bin number to whatever the new bin is going to be, and I just put them all in a brand new bin. So that's kind of what I do, because I get them. I mean, I have returns pretty infrequently relative to the amount of stuff that I sell, but like probably once every 2 months or something, I have to turn all this stuff over into a new bin. And so if it's been returned in the last 2 months and I'm the one doing all the shipping and I'm the one processing the returns, I remember that it's in the returns box. So
that's kind of where I'm at right now. Or if I can't find something, I'm like, look up to see if it had been returned.
yes.
Because so I don't intentionally do what you do, but to a certain extent I do.
Yeah.
Everything that gets returned. So my inventory is actually down in our basement. This is all like stuff that needs to be processed.
Yeah.
But my office is on our main floor. So when something gets returned, I just throw it in this returned. It still has the same SKU on it, because I don't want to go in and do all of that.
Yes.
And I am not the most the human error for me to do that would be high, and then I would lose something, and then I would like it just went all the different places I would have to go. Like
yeah,
a kid would come in and then I'd get distracted and it would never get assigned, and like it would just be
I will say, oh, go ahead.
well, everything goes. So right now I technically have like a returns bin where like if something was returned, I look there. But in theory, it all goes back and I don't reassign a SKU. It has the same SKU because it's in a spreadsheet, it's in eBay, it's in Poshmark, it's on my financial workbook, right? Like it's too much.
Well, in my stuff that gets returned, so the bin number for me is just the like location where to find this item. I also, though, because I'm a good spreadsheet person, everything has a subject number. So it's, and to me, that's like it. What it functionally is the chronological number of like this is the 20,000th item that's ever been listed in my store. It's just the chronological record of like when things get listed. And so like that subject number doesn't change, or it's not assigned a new one so that it's doubled. Like it still stays in its same data string.
Is that anywhere but on your spreadsheet?
No, but like,
oh, but you use your spreadsheet to ship.
Yes.
Well, like it would have to be in the eBay SKU or the Poshmark unique thing.
Right. So like that could be, if I wanted to give everything a SKU number, it would be that. It would be the subject number.
Yes.
Yeah. But because I just care about the bin that it's in, it's a separate number. Anyways.
Well, and your stuff probably like in a bin, you can probably easily pick out what it is, right? Where like mine is 20 pairs of jeans in a bin to where I'm like, I don't know which pair of jeans unless it had a number on it.
Yes.
Are you okay for a few more minutes? Because I think,
oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have a lot of questions.
I know. I like it.
Yeah.
Normally I have to pick up my kids, but they're on fall break and grandma picked up them to go to the zoo. So same question. How many listings is good if you need 20 listings a day? Oh, friends, I wish I had my spreadsheet. Come back and ask me next week because I'll show you my spreadsheet. Or maybe at the beginning of next week, I'll show it to you.
You should present it to me because I've never seen it in full. I've like heard bits and pieces about it, but I haven't seen it.
Well, so I have lots of spreadsheets on my for sale that I use and show. The one I'm referring to is the golden formula for resellers, and it just lets all these questions about how many listings do I need and what's my sell-through rate and how much money, and like it does all of that math for you, so you don't have to do it. And then I have the dashboard, which looks at like your top categories, your top sourcing places, and your top like a whole like analytical thing. So how many listings is good if I need 20? I don't think I understand this question. If I need 20 listings daily, good for what? Is this the same person who's asking the 20,000?
Is it Cecily?
Yes. Oh, do you want me to put it up? I'm looking.
Oh no, that person has asked a few questions.
Is that not the next one?
I love it. I need your spreadsheet. Yes.
Is it this one?
Okay. How many listings is good if I need 20 listings daily? Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you mean if you need 20 sales daily?
Yeah, clarify that question.
Yeah.
You can also, just because I can't show things here too, you can, and anybody, this is for anybody, feel free to DM me on Instagram too if you want
Yeah.
like more intimate. I also found out that YouTube was holding a lot of comments because they thought they were spammy. And so I finally went through them all. And so there was questions like 3 months ago that I never answered. So if
Oh
you guys
no.
ever ask a question and I don't answer, it's legitimately because I don't see it. So send me a DM on Instagram if you're like, hey, I asked you a question 2 weeks ago and you never answered. This one, I don't know if this is it. I hope it is. I got top rated today. Congratulations.
Yes.
That's exciting.
And
Oh, I
also
have a question on
there's
this.
another person too, Carol Thomas, also got top rated
Oh, yes.
today.
That's 2 down too.
Congrats.
Yes, that is super exciting.
Anyway, what are you
Do
saying?
you know how frequently they check it? Like every month do they go through and check? Because they don't do it daily.
No, it's a certain day of the month. For me, it's the 20th of every month.
So they do it every month, but it's different for every person. Okay. Someone was asking me, like, I hit the metrics and I was like, I know they don't do it every day, but I didn't know if it was monthly or quarterly or.
But also, there's something about if you have like a defect of some kind where it takes you out. Like for me, that has happened before because of something stupid. And it took me 90 days to get back to top rated because it was like, it took that long for it to like fall off of my record or whatever. So there's something important about 90 days, but they reevaluate to make sure you're still hitting it every 30 days or every month, once a month.
Oh, but then you have to prove for 90 days that you can do it.
Maybe so.
Or did it take you 90 days to make that percentage? Right? Because some of it's like a percentage game. So you have to like have some sales to make that percentage lower.
It may have been that I can't remember why, but it was like for it to just kind of naturally fall off the end of the evaluation like period, it was 90 days.
Okay, is this the I would like to make 120K yearly? How much do I sell weekly? Is that the question?
Which sounds like another case for your golden spreadsheet.
It would be, but I'll do it on my calculator. So this is the same person. So she needed 666 a month. So on average, there's 4 weeks in a month, 166 a week. I'm going to be honest, that's a lot. And that's probably a lot for one person.
Yes.
So, and this is where it starts to get complicated. You're likely going to have to do 166 shippings, just shipping alone and listing, like to maintain that, you probably are going to need at least a second person, which then means that you need to do more than the 120,000 because you're having to pay for someone else as well. It is doable though.
Yeah. I feel like unless you have just a ton of capital to like dump in to expedite things and pay people to like do all of the physical kind of logistics that go into all that, it's not something that's easy to do quick, like, which I mean that's kind of also easy for me to say because my experience was very much like I built a part-time ramp for like 3 years before I went full-time, and I don't even make that much still. I'm still growing, but like I wasn't putting full-time effort or capital into it really at all.
But that's the struggle too, right? And I mean, that's a valid point too. If you're going to quit your job, you almost have to have 2 jobs until you get it to that point, which is even more, right? Unless you have savings and you're like, okay, for the next 6 months, I have enough savings to where I can do this as my full-time job and like feed through. But that's right, your capital up front and to do it. Or you start slow.
Which in that case, it's like you have your runway for your runway. Like, but there's so many ways
to planning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just a comment. This is the super chat. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate that. Other questions? Yay.
Oh my gosh, Cecily, I have a little chair like that in my store. It's so cute. It's like a dollhouse chair that looks just like that.
Is this a question? I'm actually meaning the button I can click in my account settings so the customers actually sees their cost at the discount rate.
Oh, is there like so that they can see they're paying a discounted rate? I don't know if you.
I don't know that.
I don't know if that exists.
I don't know. Do they know?
I don't know. I've never considered it. We should look into it.
Yeah, I don't see my shipping. I'm glad that you're on here because my shipping's not complicated. So I don't, mine's pretty straightforward. Let's see if we have other questions. Don't change your handling time to the time. Oh, this is a good comment, and I'm interested what you do. Oh, you have 2-day handling on, right?
I have 1 day.
Oh, I thought you had 2-day because I was making that up.
No, it's sometimes 1 and sometimes 2. Actually, let me double check. I think it's 1 day right now.
I thought maybe this is when you're on vacation then. I thought you had said it was 2-day because you have to go to the storage unit and you don't go every day.
Oh, okay. So that probably was true whenever I told you that, but recently I put it back to 1 day to just try to give myself a little extra boost.
Yes. I would agree that.
Yeah, I think normally it's every other day that I try to make it more like less time consuming every day.
I know the drive there is the hard part. So someone's saying don't change your handling time to the same day. I hope this is the comment that I put up.
Oh.
Unless you want to go from 100% to 90% overnight. So pissed.
Oh yeah.
The thing with this, so I met with a growth advisor, and that was one of the things. He was like, you are under the 1-day handling. So like I ship faster than 1 day because I ship every day at lunch.
Yes.
So anything that comes in the morning gets shipped out. So it's same day. And he was like, you could do same day. But the nice thing that you can do a same day is you can do same day and they do like a cutoff time at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
You don't have to do same day all day.
Right.
But I still was like, and he told me this like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, do you really think that this is the right time when shipping is going to be delayed to lessen my handling? And my postal carrier, he's amazing. He picks up every day. I don't even have to schedule it out anymore. If he has a sub, he lets a sub know, but he takes 3 weeks off, the last 3 weeks of the month of December off, which is always the worst.
Right.
And I was like, this is not the time for me to mess with that. Like maybe in July or in January I can do it. But that's good to know. Do we have other questions?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would be pissed about that too though. I had that issue when a way you can go from so they said unless you want to go from 100% to 90%. So you can, like Sarah was saying, you can change the cutoff time of what constitutes same day in your shipping settings, which is part of your account settings. Okay. So you can change that cutoff, which will help you probably, but also the more volume that you do, like it's a percentage, right? So the more, if you do a bunch more volume, that's going to wash out sooner.
Yes.
And your percentage will get better faster if you're selling more stuff. So just keep that in mind too. Hopefully that will work in your favor in Q4.
Yes, very valid point. And that's with most of the other top rated things too, that if it's a percentage game too. I've had people that are like, I lost my top rated, what can I do to get it back? And I'm like, I would clearance your store to like 90%. Like if you can increase your sales ridiculous and just increase it's short term, a week or two, you're gonna like hate sending these items out. But in the long run, I think this is the next question. Let me know if you think, is this a question, first of all? Did I have the right one? Has anyone noticed the recent eBay update? Okay. That some of their shipping selections have changed. I'm going through 10 items a day to make sure the shipping selection is correct.
Oh, blast. I have not noticed this.
I do know my light. I'm like standing on my plug. You guys can see I'm like having a rave. If you see like I'm having a rave back there, it keeps going on and off. It was down. eBay was down on I heard it was down on the West Coast 2 days ago, and I was having issues like ending items, and I was doing a promoted listing and kept giving me. So I just walked away and came back, and it worked. And then someone was telling me they were going through and it wasn't shipping that they were having to update. They were having to change something else because I am in the camp of, they do these seller updates and things change. And then in a week they'll come out and say, okay, we fixed it and we're converting. Like I usually just tend to give it a couple of weeks.
Work itself out kind of thing.
Before I freak out.
I did. There was some update like such a long time ago, like literally probably 4 years ago, that it changed a bunch of my dimensions and weight.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I will sell something that's like 10 pounds and it's like 6 ounces, fits in a 10 by 8 by 6 box. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like that is so far from accurate. And
did you have to go in and change them all, or did they change it back?
Well, it's like some of them fell through the cracks somehow. So there's like a few in the haystack that are like messed up still. But it sucks because sometimes people will pay, I mean, you know, they should have been paying more than they paid for the item for shipping, and they pay like nothing for shipping. And then it's just like,
Which is probably why it sold, right? They're like, this should cost me $50 to sell.
oh,
And
I'm
she's
gonna
only
go buy
charging
this,
me
like, I want
$3.99.
that. Yeah, I'm like, great. But so sometimes I'll just eat it depending on the situation. But sometimes I've canceled the sale and been like, I'm sorry, there was like an egregious error in this listing, and like this was not ever what could have been possible. Like, sorry.
See, and I shipped this morning, and I didn't notice any of my shipping. I think I shipped out like 12 items maybe, and my shipping was all fine. So that's leading me to believe that mine is okay. I'm not going there. It's Friday. I will look at it on Monday if it's still the case. But I'm interested if other people in the chat have it. Do you have a video on how you comp? I do not. I don't. Do you have a? I can tell you because I do it for a virtual assistant.
Oh,
And so it has to be like when I was comping, I could go in and like reasonably be like, oh, well, it could sell, and like each one off. What I do is I go in and tell them, the virtual assistants, to look at the past 90 days, what it sold at. And I do women's clothing, so there's going to be comps. It's not like when it's a one-off and
yeah.
like, you have to kind of make it up. Most of the time there's something else that has sold in the past 90 days. And so a sold item, they take the average of the sold item in the past 90 days and add 20% to it. So I have room for like, and then sometimes I'll go in and I just know, like I'll go through the listing. So they make the drafts and then I launch it, and I'll go in and be like, I know, like
It like becomes intuitive at some point. Like, yeah, that's true. I find too there's like sort of layers of granularity. Like, okay, for clothing's a great example. Like, I was listing a cardigan from J. Crew the other day, a men's cardigan. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't find too many of this exact cardigan, but here are some other J. Crew sweaters, like men's J. Crew tops. Okay, like J. Crew clothing in general. Like, you can kind of like get broader and broader if there aren't very many comps. And so it's it's a little more straightforward to like give that example with clothing, but that's kind of what I do for all of the super miscellaneous stuff. It's like, and sometimes there's a lot of stuff that I sell where it's like, this is a collector thing, matchbooks or whatever, and it's like, I mean, people pay 99 cents for those on the reg. There's no rhyme or reason. Lots of people do auctions on them. 99 cents, they get one bid. There's like so many of those. I don't care. I'm not going to list anything lower than $15 in my store. So you can try and make me an offer lower than $15 and I may take it, especially if you're bundling a bunch of them together. But like, I'm looking for the collector that's going to pay $15 for that. And I don't care if a million of them sold for 99 cents. So
yeah, well, not some of it too. And starting off high, like for the most part, well, 2 years ago, I used to start off high, and now I'm getting less into that because things aren't selling as well, to where I'm like, I'll sell anything.
Yeah.
Do we have other questions? Hello, friends. You guys are awesome. You have like kept a whole list of things to chat about, and I don't think we got to any of them. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on before we pop off? I think we got all the questions. If I missed a question, type at the end question in caps lock so I don't miss it. If I did miss it and we get off, send me a DM and I'll answer it, or we'll talk next week about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to like throw this out there and maybe we can like think about it and talk about it some more next time. Like, this has been on our list for a couple weeks, but it's more of a like broader kind of question, and it came from a conversation, which I can tell more about that next time or whatever if we really dive into it. But essentially, we're all running small businesses essentially, and so there's all these different ways to think about diversification, right? And that idea has been coming up a lot, especially in the face of possible recession and like all that kind of stuff. When people get like kind of nervous about the economy, it's like, oh, we got to make sure that we're all fortified here. Like, diversification is important. But there's like so many ways to think about that. And I kind of just want to pick your brain about it and kind of have a conversation, because like in my mind, the immediate thing that I think of is like, well, my inventory is really diverse, but I'm only on one platform.
Yeah.
And like, I'm only on one platform, but I also have other like income streams outside of reselling. So that's diversification. So it's like, there's these different like levels or like layers of diversification. And I wonder, like, how we choose like which ones to like focus on or which ones are important and how it all works together. So that's kind of my like teaser about that conversation.
Oh, I'm like ready to have a conversation now.
Are you ready? I'm so glad.
My kids aren't here. Like, let's have at it. As long as people aren't saying we're saying too long. And we can talk more if we think of other things. But so, I mean, I think this is a good question because I think, especially in reselling, you hear so many people are like different income streams. And that's what I think of when you say diversification.
Well, and when we all have that bad day where we're like, clearly I'm a failure and I shouldn't be reselling, get on Indeed and look for jobs. Like,
right. Like, well, and then when you have a bad day here, you have a good day somewhere else. So to me, I hadn't thought about inventory because I'm very.
You can also spread yourself too thin across different endeavors, you know, like.
Right. So when, as you were saying this, these are the initial things, and then maybe we can talk more next week if other things come up. The initial things I thought was things other outside of reselling. Because if reselling goes to like everyone's saying reselling is taking off. However, what I get concerned with reselling taking off is big businesses are catching on to this and they're taking over, right? I can't, like Lululemon has most of the big retailers have buyback programs. Yeah. And a lot of the big retailers that have buyback programs are coming after the small sellers and saying, hey, you can't sell this anymore.
Which is rude.
For clothing. Right. But that's where like everyone's like, oh, you know, reselling is taking off and people want sustainability and stuff. And I'm like, it is, but is there space for the reselling world as we know it? So I'm always mindful of that. And that's where my diversification comes from in what other ways can you do it? The other thing that I thought of, so twofold in my business, I am tapped out with how many items that I can have. So growing from that aspect is not happening for me unless I like increase my average sale price a little bit, but not like in large folds. Yeah. And it has a cost of good associated with it. Yeah. Right. Like money. And so what I'm working on growing, and I talked about this at the beginning of the year, like with my goals for the year, is growing my business in my time. And so that's YouTube. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been like cranking out YouTube content, doing lives, doing presentations. I've started doing like eBay store reviews for people, things that don't have a cost of good associated with it. It's strictly just my time. Yeah. But that it's taken me 4 years consistently on eBay to get there, where reselling, like you can pick up an item, list it and sell it tomorrow. Right. Like building up that kind of.
You're sort of extrapolating upon your expertise that you now have gained by experience to have more available than just the items that you're selling in your store.
Right. Yeah. Well, and because I've thought about like, do I want to just grow my store and not do so much of the other things? And I personally, not from like a money standpoint, it is less risky, but I like having different things. If I was just listing and photographing and sourcing if that was all of it, I wouldn't personally like that. And then the other thing, as you were talking, I was thinking about is my spouse. Like our family income is diversified. He's talked multiple times, like, what do you think if like we grew the business and we would both work in it? And I'm like, I think we could probably make that work. That terrifies the living shit out of me because if something happens, like we're both in it. Like if something happens to me, his income can still take over. And if something happens to him, my income can mostly take over. We would maybe have to change a couple of things, but that's like from a family, like we're diversified in like the family businesses together. That freaks me out.
Yeah. That's really fair. That's so interesting. I mean, we're kind of the same way. We it's really fun doing our taxes every year and filing all these different schedules that we have for all of our little like side hustles and stuff. But just to your point about your family income diversification, like my husband has a W-2 job. He's also a professional musician and he freelances. He plays bass. He's super cool and super chill, of course. And then also he does freelance design because that's like his main 9-to-5 skill set also. And so, you know, he's got like at least those three. And then I've had many various things over the years. Right now, eBay is my main jam, but you know, I do some other like writing and editing stuff. I've done like little data projects for people. I used to do like craft fairs. I used to have a therapy practice. I used to teach for university. Like,
so you'll be fine because no matter what, like we're very similar in this aspect. Like I've done so many different things that like if reselling for some reason stopped, I would have so many other, like I used to be a hairdresser. I haven't done it in 10 years, but I keep my license because I could go walk into a salon tomorrow
Yeah.
and get a job. And I can also get shampoo for wholesale. That's really
Which
why.
is the jam. That's worth the license alone.
Yeah, so the amount it costs me every year to renew it, shampoo alone pays for it. I think we will end on that because I think people after a while do start to check out. But thank you guys so much for joining. If you were here, make sure to give a thumbs up for that algorithm. If you're watching this after, you can leave questions down below. And maybe we'll get to them next week, or send me a DM, or join us next week. This is every single Friday. And I think we've decided we're going to move on to November as well. Oh, we have, because I already scheduled them. We're going on to November.
Yeah, we're definitely doing it in November. So we're going to keep working on those, but it's been really great so far. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. And oh, I didn't mention, Anna, you have to remind me. Anna has a book as well.
Here's my
another income stream, right? This is like the perfect
small but mighty income stream.
Yes, there you go.
Book about eBay.
And I need to put, every time we mention your eBay open presentation, I keep meaning to put it in the description down below. Because I know it was one of the best.
I was gonna say, sidebar, we were in top 1 and 2 seller-led sessions for all of eBay Open. So you are here hanging out with the proudest, most excited presenters ever.
And mine is on my channel, but I will link eBay for
business. My link tree also. So
okay, so then it is down below. You just have to do 2 clicks instead of 1. Thank you guys so much for joining. Everyone who gave a super chat, I really, really appreciate it. I have a really awesome video tomorrow about Poshmark. I don't do a ton of videos about Poshmark anymore, but I have a video about Poshmark coming out tomorrow. And I think that's it. Have a wonderful weekend.
Cheers.
Thanks for all the questions. It was great.